Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show, sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings. I'm your host, David Lamb. On today's show, we have Allan Graham, a property developer from Redcar, who's doing some amazing things. Welcome, Allan.
Nice one. Nice to be here.
Very welcome, mate. Very welcome. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thanks. Really good. Pleased to be on here.
I appreciate your time, mate, because I know I say this to everyone because everyone I interview is a genuine property investor, developer, doing genuine day-to-day things. So I really appreciate your time because I know how busy you are, because I am as well. I totally appreciate it. So now we connected through Steve Green, mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
I know you've done a lot of training with Steve. When I met Steve to do the podcast with him, bearing in mind he has thousands of students through his door.
Yeah.
He mentioned your name immediately.
Right.
As someone I need to speak to.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get much bigger compliment than that. So I'm sure we'll find out exactly why as we go through. So I guess first things first, mate. Who's Allan Graham? How did life begin?
Like you say, I'm Allan Graham from Redcar. I used to be labouring on building sites, and it was not what I wanted to be. I wanted something different, and that's basically how Stephen came along. Being from Redcar, heard of him, didn't know who he was, and seen his training. A friend of mine had done the training. I was like, I'm not paying for that. For me, my main thing, I'm not into nothing flash. My main thing is holidays. That's what
I've seen that from your socials.
That's my biggest thing. I'm not into cars. My wife picks my car. And it was, for me, it was holidays. I thought, I'm not paying for that on the training, and go to Mallorca with that.
Exactly.
But then...
Was that the initial 3-day course then, was it?
Yeah.
Did you do it at like a day's free taster?
So it's... So obviously Stephen Green from Redcar, property developer, he offered a free 2-day event. So I turned up to it thinking Stephen Green, property expert. And so I sat there, and it turned out to be his Strength to Succeed event. So it's the mental health one.
Right, okay.
So then people are sat there about harming themselves, depression, suicide. I'm thinking, what the hell is this? This isn't nothing to do with property. But something just struck me to Stephen. Seeing how he is on stage, how he was speaking, and the presence that he had. And it was then I just thought, I want to do this training with him. Just something that I was really interested in, just went from there. Signed up for his training.
So did you speak to him at the end of that day and sort of say, I thought I came here thinking it was a property course? And
yeah, well, no, I think it was a few weeks later I told him this, but when I was there, and then I was speaking to his partner Gemma at the back, and then we were speaking. I said, look, I really want to get involved in this. So she connected me and Stephen together. Then we exchanged a few messages. And then, just signed up from there. And, I wouldn't be where I am now without him, really.
Yeah, so when was that then? What
that
year?
was February 2019.
So February 2019, you went to a course that you thought was property, which wasn't. Obviously, Steve made an impression on you. You went on to do the further training from there. And then were you sort of straight into it?
Yeah, so for me, it was all in. I had no other option. Like I say, I used to work on building sites. Then I left them building sites, so I was unemployed at the time, and I was like, I had to be all in. It was, I had no other option to apart from that to go full time with it. It's the best decision I've ever done with it.
That's an amazing decision to make, mate. A massive jump. You hear of a lot of people going into property and they've got like a banking background, so they're working with numbers, or an architecture background, whatever. So the natural progression is obviously to invest in property, but to be labouring on building sites, mate, and to do what you've done and make the jump is incredible. Yeah,
it was a big thing. Like I didn't want that anymore, where I'm carrying plasterboards up 3 flights of stairs, etc. Getting paid on a Friday, spending it all by the Saturday, and it's like I wanted more. I've got a young family, so it was like I needed this too. I've always been interested in property, like I'm sure a lot of people are watching Homes Under the Hammer, thinking, "Oh, I can do that." But it's like for me, I had no property experience, knowledge on that. It was just the construction side of it from the building sites. So yeah, it just went from there really.
Yeah. So do you think your time on building sites created the interest in property, or do you think you just already had that anyway?
Yeah, I would say so. I probably had that in me, but I thought I knew about it, but turned out I didn't. Like, I didn't even know what equity meant. Watching these, thinking, I can turn that into something like that. But then the stuff in the background, like the brokers, solicitors, all that side of it, like, didn't even think of that.
And why would you?
No, exactly.
We're not taught these things at school, are you?
No.
You know, we should be.
Yeah.
It's criminal that we're not.
Yeah.
We should be taught about business. We should be taught about investments, etc. But there's a hidden agenda there, as we all know. So, so when you were labouring on the sites, were you working for sort of smaller developers, or was it big house builders?
It was more agencies doing more the commercial side of it, new schools, leisure centres, that kind of thing. So it was just agency. So you literally could get the phone call on the Friday, you've been laid off, don't come back in on Monday. So it was that kind of how it was with them. Got with a few good companies, but again, then just let you go at the drop of a hat. So it was that's when I thought, like, I don't want this anymore. I want to do something. But then I left that labouring, so then I was unemployed, and then that's when I attended Stephen's training.
Right. So was it were you the interest in property, or was it an interest in doing something for yourself?
It was just a different career, I suppose. I've always wanted to, and I think a lot of people do. It'd be great to work for yourself, rather than someone telling you what to do as such. And it was more that it wasn't necessarily property. I was interested in property from it, from, like, say, Homes Under the Hammer, watching them kind of things, but it was never where I was like, always wanted to be a property developer. I've never really thought about it. It was just a different career path altogether. Yeah. And because I never really had a passion, where I didn't realise what my passion was until I'd done the training, and then I realised that is my passion. Yeah. So I believe we kind of, it just all came together like how it should be, really.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I love that. I think everybody who goes into business and property, we all want a sense of control. We want to steer our own ship, if you like. Yeah. So it's good that you've done that, but it does take balls to take the jump, and you've obviously done that in a big way. Where does the entrepreneurial sort of spirit stem from then? Is there anyone in your family that's into business or property?
No one at all. So I've never really went into that side of it or thought about it too much. Again, just thinking I would like to do it down like my own, work for myself. Don't have to ask someone if I can have a day off, do holidays, etc. But no one's from my side of the family, or anyone who I really knew, was into that business side of it. From Redcar, there was not a lot of people who were doing that. I can honestly think it was, from what I could see, especially on socials, it was probably only Stephen Green in Redcar who was that business-minded person. And I think that's what I really liked about him when he was on stage, and I could see that presence that he had. So yeah, it just went from there.
So tell me about Redcar then, and specifically, because it's riding a bit of a wave at the moment. I don't want to talk about your projects just yet, but I used to work at the steelworks in Redcar for 8 years. Yeah. I started as an apprentice as a teenager, and stayed there for 8 years and worked my way up. And I had the best time of my life, I must say, when I was working at the steelworks. It was incredible. So, I was in Redcar every day, and the steelworks shut, and it was just Armageddon. It was just, everyone was panicking, where's the money coming from? Well, there wasn't any money. Yeah. To lose thousands of jobs overnight. Yeah. Most of the lads I know that I used to work with have now gone on to do well at other things, but there was a few years there where it was just so negative about Redcar. Yeah. And you're right. I knew about Stephen Green even then, and he was still doing bits in property. I remember thinking, that's a difficult market to work in, given the economics. Yeah. But things have improved massively since then. Yeah,
it's gone through the waves. I've always lived in Redcar all my life, and I've seen it obviously when the steelworks. I used to work on the steelworks as well, and I've seen how it was going. They've spent a lot of money renovating the seafront, the defence walls, the vertical tower. So it is. They've spent a bit of money in there, and I do think it is definitely an up and coming place now, especially like going back to Stephen, what he's done for the area regarding it, and then there's people who he's trained that are doing the commercial side of it up in the high street. So it is massively improving. And for me, that's the area I'm concentrating on now. I've got some properties like further afield, Newcastle, Spennymoor, I've got one in Spain, Middlesbrough, but now I'm just literally just concentrating Redcar just to try and make a difference in the area, try and improve the area.
Yeah. I love that, and the likes of yourself and Steve, what you're doing, it's you invest in buildings, you're doing very well out of them. You're almost forcing your own market. You're almost creating your own market, I should say. Yeah. You're improving that. Like Steve's building on the seafront there, you can't help but see it when you drive past. So and it looks presentable, it looks smart. Whereas the building as it was before he developed it, it was run down, it was a bit rough. So you're sort of forcing your own appreciation by doing your own projects, which is amazing. Yeah,
100%. It's especially Stephen's project there. What you said, that was from what it was to what it is now. But then there's others like the ones I'm doing. There's other people in the property group that I've got properties from Redcar who are from there, and they're making a massive difference. Because I believe without them, it would have been nowhere near where it is now. Just with these projects, the council they're trying to help, but they can only do so much with it. So a lot of it just comes on to people like ourselves, these property developers who will make a difference in there.
Yeah, brilliant. So you've done the training, you've come out the training full of motivation, full of knowledge. Your network's just expanded, no doubt, by hundreds of people. Yeah. Sort of in a very short space of time. Where from then? What was the first strategy?
For me, it was... So I'd basically done the 3-day training in the February of 2019, come off the back of that, and straight away I wanted to take action. For me, I'm one of those that believe that if you don't take action in that first year, you'll start, there's a good chance that you won't take that action because you'll start doubting yourself, you'll start doubting the strategies, the confidence in yourself. So I'm one of those where you go out there and take action immediately. So I gone in for a property. It was a large 3-bedroom property in Redcar. Had that, but then I'd signed on for Stephen's advanced training, the elite training, 7-day training, and that was in the March. So this property was going through legals at the time. And speaking to Stephen, I was telling him about it, and he basically gave me this connection, said, like, speak to these. And it was Mia's housing group. Right, okay. Well, it was back then, it was G4S in 2019. Yes. They had the contract. So it was like, speak to these. So I was like, spoke to them. So if I rented that property out, my very first one as a buy-to-let, I would have made roughly about £500 a month. This one, gone down the G4S route, Mia's route, it's making £1,000 a month. So I was like, he said, speak to these, and it's total hands-off. But I got so many learns off that property, the first one. I wouldn't change it for the world. Yep. Few mistakes on there. Me personally, I was there every day, sweeping up after the joiner, like just following around with a hoover and things now. It's just then the next day doing it all again, next day doing it all again. I'm like, just how much time you're wasting in that. But yeah, it was so many learns on there. It was for me, it was a great strategy. Still a great strategy to go down. Guaranteed rent, doesn't matter if there's 5 people in there, 1 person in there, it's guaranteed. They take care of the maintenance. So for that one, it got me some huge experience on there. But I spoken to a random broker in Redcar back in 2019, just before I'd done the training. So I booked on for Stephen's training, and I basically spoken to him. Before I'd done the training, I didn't have these connections of the different power teams. And he said to me, you won't get a mortgage. You're unemployed, you won't get a mortgage. So I was like deflated then. I was like, so I'm going to go and do this training. Now, what have I spent this money on this training for? I won't be able to get a mortgage. Spoken to Stephen again on it, and he said, no, you will. Speak to this guy. So he gave me someone's number, and he said, oh, yeah, I'll be able to get you a mortgage, no problem. You might have to pay a little bit more in interest rate, but you'll still be making money on it, get your landlord experience, get your... so I had that was a 2-year product. So in that 2 years, but I'm still building a portfolio up in the background, so it's not just that one property.
So was the first broker, was he saying there'll be difficulty getting a mortgage because of your unemployed status, or because of it was Mia's contract?
Unemployed. So this one wasn't the Mia's one at the time. So this was just literally, I want to get in a property, I want to do training, will you be able to get me mortgages? And he was like, no, you're unemployed, we will not be able to get you one. So that taught me a huge lesson. It's if you get in some answers over here and people are saying no, that doesn't mean it's 100% a no. It's finding that right person who's got that answer for you.
Yeah.
So for me, I learned a huge lesson then. But it's like if I just listen to him, and I was like, well, it's pointless me doing this training now. So
you'd be doing something else.
Yeah, 100%. So it's just like speaking, having that right power team, the connections, who can get you these different products, different mortgages.
Of course it is. Networks everything.
Yeah.
So that first Mia's property, did you do it as a shared house then, or was it just as a single let for Mia's?
It was a 5-bedroom HMO. So
Right.
we were able to convert it. It was very, very straightforward. So for me, just done the training, I was like, I'm going to put a new kitchen in, new carpets, and they came around and said it's fine as it is. It was in all right condition. Yeah. It wasn't in bad condition. They were saying it's fine. So I didn't spend an awful lot of refurb on there. Probably about $6,000 just to turn it into HMO regs, the fire doors, the fire alarms, etc. Yeah. So it was just like to get it to that standard. Took probably about 4 to 6 weeks. So it was like a really quick one. Got it onto a mortgage on there. Pulled some money out of it. Yeah, I was paying more in the mortgage rates on there, but I was happy because I was still making a profit, so my income was coming in, so I was able to go and get another property with that. Yeah. And just went from there really.
So the conversion to a 5-bed, was it 2 big reception rooms? Was it?
It was yes, it was. Yeah. So you went in. There was a reception room downstairs. Managed to convert that into a bedroom. Yeah. Then it was your living room. And then it was the kitchen, went upstairs, the bathroom, 3 other bedrooms, and then 2 bedrooms in the loft area, what were already bedrooms. So it was 3, 4. No, we put 1. We never converted the 6. We just had that as more of a storage space, only because of the different regs on there with the sizes. So we put 1 ensuite into one of the bedrooms, into the largest bedroom, just because obviously the regs changed on that. So we needed 2 toilets in there. Yeah. So we didn't do the 6 just because then we would have had to change quite a bit, another ensuite in there. And would be my first one. I was more than happy to do that 5-bedroom.
Yeah, brilliant. So was that a strategy you continued with then? Did you continue with the Mia's, with the HMOs, or did you look at other stuff?
I looked at other stuff. My next property was a single buy-to-let. So I managed to get that at the time. It was via a deal sourcer on that one. And that was a good one. It was just a standard 2-bedroom house. Got it for 60,000. It was worth 80,000. So it was all right. It already had a refurb on there, so I didn't have to do anything major to there. It was newly done up. So it was a good deal. It was a stress seller on there, so they were really keen on selling it. They've just split up. So yeah, went down that route, and then I've got a few more HMOs in my portfolio, but that first one with Mia's, that's the only one. I have been looking at doing other ones with them, but I've just got different strategies with them. So some of my other HMOs, they're hybrid HMO products, so it's just where I can pull more money out of it and just recycling it a lot quicker. Yeah.
Would you still buy any more standard buy-to-lets? I ask everyone this. Would you, in today's market, in today's environment, would you still buy more buy-to-lets?
For me, at the minute, I love buy-to-lets. I generally love them. I've got a few buy-to-lets. I love them, but I just won't be doing them with how the market is at the minute. I will go back to them maybe a year down the line and just see how the market is. But for me, there's just not enough profit in there. For example, if you could be getting £500 in rent and you're paying £400 of that to your mortgage, then your insurance, is it massively worth it? I think there's a lot more effective strategies out there at the minute. So they're the strategies that I'm going on. Yeah. So I will come back to the buy-to-lets, but just not at the minute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's a pretty common answer, to be honest. And, you know, that mortgage rates are going up at rapid knots, but so are rents. We're very lucky in the North East. Well, you could look at it either way, but in the North East, rents are just continuing to climb, sort of 5-10% every year. Yeah. As you know, and I can't see that stopping. You know, there's such a lack of stock. Some of my rents on my buy-to-lets, I'm putting up to levels that I never thought would be possible. And people are just snapping my arm off because they go on Rightmove and realise there's nowhere else to go should they leave. So it's a very, very interesting market at the moment. Yeah. So you've continued on with that, and you know you're doing some pretty amazing things now. One of which is the project I want to speak to you about, which it's the church project. Yeah. Which I've seen, which looks an incredible conversion that you've done. The standard of the finishes I was showing my nephew this morning actually. He was just like, wow. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah,
it's a really good project, that one. I've got a hell of a lot of learns from that. But it's been a really good project. So for that one, it's been empty for absolutely years. 2013, I think it was. It's just been an abandoned Methodist church in a nice village, not too far away from Saltburn, not too far away from Whitby. So it's a great location for hikers.
Perfect.
It's a fantastic location. So with that one, someone bought it in 2015, I believe it was, and they got planning permission, turned it into a holiday let, but they'd never done anything with it. So then it was back on the market. Someone else bought it. They didn't do anything with it. So then I basically bought it for £100,000. Nice, decent size Methodist church, and straight away I can see the vision exactly what it's going to be. Yeah.
And did you follow the initial plans that they'd got in 2015, or did you rejig
No,
them?
so I've rejigged them. One of them, it was making a weird, mad mezzanine, like randomly coming right in the middle of it. So yeah, I've changed the plans, but I feel that's what I'm quite good at. I can walk into a property and I can vision exactly what it's going to be like. And I know a lot of people, like my wife, she can't, like when she walks into somewhere, she cannot see it. She'll go like, no, like she cannot see that vision.
It's normally the other way around, actually. A lot of male investors that I speak to are relying on the wives for that creative side of things.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that it's the other way around with yours.
Yeah, I can see it. I see it perfectly. In this one, it was a perfect, like it was a big space, just split it into 5 bedrooms. So we've built 5 bedrooms, 4 of them with en suites. The 5th one it's a smaller room, but we wanted to maximise the beds in there. So rather than just putting a single a bunk bed in there, we've actually built a double bunk bed in there. So it's just getting more bodies in there for the kids, for example, so it can sleep up to 16 people.
Oh, wow.
A lot of the beds have got mattresses underneath where you can pull out. It's got a pool table. We're going to be putting a hot tub on the balcony area. So it's a great property. A nice big living area, sofa, kitchen area. So we wanted that feel where if someone's there, everyone's together. They've got that togetherness rather than different rooms all built off.
Yeah.
So when you go up the stairs, you've got the mezzanine floor. You can overlook it all, so you can see exactly what's happening. People in the kitchen, people at the bar area, people in the seating area.
Really sociable space.
Yeah, so it's good. So we went there. Me and my family, we spent Christmas Day there.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was, but stuff like that where we can use it as well.
Yeah, that's the beauty of SA, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a fantastic property. I've had a lot of learns from it.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot of learns. It's in a conservation area, so we've learned from that. Regarding the planning side of it, regarding the trades. So it's been fantastic. The neighbours are absolutely over the moon because it's just been a derelict building for years, and they're really pleased that it's making the area look nice again. You had like tiles flying off the roof, and they were kept popping in all the time. The neighbours really interested in it. So I'm really pleased with it how that's come about.
I was going to say what were the main challenges with a building of that sort of ilk? You just look at them and you think, I'm going to have so many planning issues. So did you have any? Did they, in 2015, the previous owner, did they have plans passed? I know they were different to yours, but did they have plans passed?
Yeah, they had them passed.
Right, so it was a lot easier then from that perspective.
There was no, regarding planning, the council were really good. They were really good, and I think they've been really good with me throughout all my projects, to be fair.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it was more the conservation guys who at the council department.
Yeah.
There was a few issues with them where it was what colour the render, what we had to be, what the roof tiles, the front door, all that kind of stuff. Anything external, they were nitpicking that a lot. But it was that time frame of getting an answer from them. So that was the most probably challenging bit, frustrating bit. But apart from that, everything else was all right, really. Regarding the refurb, all of it.
Yeah, okay, that's great. I did a similar size scheme in a conservation area a couple of years ago, and planning was a breeze. It was done on PD at the time.
Right.
The PD rules have changed since, but everything was great apart from the same as you. It was an old sort of rough brick facade, and we weren't allowed to do anything with it apart from paint it white. We wanted to render it, weren't allowed. Certain windows we had to use, which is fine. But then the roof tiles, we had to put the same roof tiles back on.
Right, okay.
So obviously, the whole roof came off the building. It was a business centre that we converted into apartments. So obviously the lads would normally just throw the roof tiles on. Obviously we're just wrapping them in cotton wool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we lost probably 150, 200, and we ended up paying, but the roof tiles were probably worth 50p. You end up paying about £11 a roof tile to get them from London.
Yeah.
Because they were a certain type of roof tile you couldn't get anymore. So conservation can be a bit of a challenge at times, can't it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100% with them.
So with the church, have you had it revalued?
Yeah, so it's been revalued at 600,000. So I bought it for 100,000, spent 270,000 on there, plus fees and that. I'm all in roughly about the 400,000 mark. So it's got valued at 600,000. If I was to sell it as a ready-made holiday let, as it is with the furniture, I can probably get roughly about 650 for it, maybe a little bit more. I've been quoted where I could potentially sell it for 700,000. So I could.
I was going to say, yeah, looking at it from what I've seen of it,
yeah,
you think the value will be up there.
So I can, but it's just with how the market is at the minute. So I believe in a couple of years' time that value will massively go up. Yeah. It's just obviously they're a lot more cautious at the minute with that.
Yeah.
So I do believe it's definitely the potential there for the long term. So I've been umming and ahhing whether to sell it, whether to keep it, just because of interest rates, management fees, cleaning fees, the electricity prices. So roughly it had to make roughly about 60,000 just to cover all them costs a year.
Right, okay.
For me to be happy with that, I would roughly want about £2,000 a month profit just for me to be happy. So there's 84,000 it's got to make a year, which is doable. So I've had Horse and Stay, they've came around, they've done forecasts on there. They said at 63% occupancy, they expected to make £78,000.
Right.
I can get that 63% occupancy up high, obviously putting like a hot tub in there, etc. I've put a few more things in there that will get that up. So that is, then I'm thinking if I sell it, I can make 300,000, potentially £300,000 profit. It would take me 12 years to make £24,000 a year to get to that 300. So I'm thinking what I could do with that now. But things are coming down again, like the electricity prices, the mortgage, the interest rates. So I'm thinking, do I hold it? Do I keep it? So I'm in that mind at the minute.
Yeah, and if you do choose to hold it, you don't need to hold it for that 12-year period, do you?
No.
You know, you hold it 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully rates will come down. You know, every sign is signifying that they will come down. And then you could look at selling it, could you? You've got loads of options.
Absolutely.
Because you've bought so well.
Yeah.
And you've done the development on such a budget, even though you've created an amazing product, you're in a great position. You've got so many options with it. You've almost got too many options.
Yeah. And that's what I prefer, just to have that other options rather than just literally, look, I've got to sell it or I've got to keep it. So it's just having that extra option. It's good. I'm in no rush. I don't need to sell it, but it's just having that. But it's only going to be worth what someone's willing to pay for it, especially at the minute with interest rates. They're obviously cautious on that. So like you say, just wait for them to come down. Valuations will go up and go from there, make a decision then.
So you're doing some other commercial stuff as well, aren't you? Because I've seen that you're buying shops in Redcar.
Yeah.
The old clothes shop, the name eludes me.
Store 21.
Yeah, so can you tell us about that one?
Yeah. So that one was that was a really good deal. So like I say, I've got HMOs, I've got buy-to-lets, holiday lets, but I've wanted to more go down the commercial route. I feel like at the minute, a commercial strategy, semi-commercial strategy, it's a good strategy at the minute. So I've basically purchased this one. It was for 147,000 at auction. It's 820 square meter building, so it's a big size building. So I got a really good price for it. Like I say, it was at auction, so got a good deal. It was just when all the interest rates were all going up with Liz Truss, so it was a perfect time.
Got a lot to answer for, Liz Truss.
Yeah. It was a perfect time. So I bought that for 147,000. We're currently renovating that. So again, I've got a lot of learn. So this was my first major commercial at the time. So I put my eggs all in one basket. So I had Pound Stretcher, they were wanting it to take it on. The council, they wanted it as like a hub. And an NHS-backed dentist, they wanted it. So the dentist, they were offering the most for it for downstairs. So I put all my eggs in their basket. And I was like, yeah, yous have got it. And some major learns. So it turned out that in the end, they couldn't get the NHS funding. So they had to pull out of it. So I was like, back to square one.
It's a big unit, isn't it?
Yeah. It's 820 square meters. So it's a decent size. So in the end, so my next plan was to basically rent downstairs out to a commercial and do upstairs as residential. So I had my architect come round and he looked at it and he could get me 18 small apartments up there. Right. And I was looking at it, I'm thinking, I don't want 18. I don't want the headache of having 18 up there. So he changed it, made them bigger. Managed to get 12 in there, and I thought, I don't want 12. And it's like,
just don't want any tenants.
As a residential. So I just decided to make that commercial as well. So I've done commercial downstairs and 5 commercial units upstairs. Made a separate entrance downstairs that takes you straight upstairs, put the staircase in. So it's more for that long term. Like for me, the strategy at the minute is just putting these commercial units into, say, a 5-year lease, 10-year lease downstairs. So it's just having them tenants in there, putting in there where they take care of the maintenance, repairs. So it's a lot more hands-off for me, so I don't have to do a lot. So on that one, if I rented that full building out to somebody, I could have made roughly about £28,000 a year. But with me splitting it up, so that's gone from £28,000 a year to £57,000 a year. Wow. So it's massively gone up just by splitting it up. So downstairs, they'll be paying £24,000 a year. Wow. For a 10-year lease. They're having that as a training aesthetics academy. Oh, wow. So that's like, I don't have to do anything in there. They pay all the bills. They do paying for the electric, etc., all that kind of stuff. So the mortgage on that building, once it's done, it's going to be roughly about the £24,000 mark. Yeah. So downstairs is covering the full mortgage on the full building.
Amazing.
So anything upstairs is going to be pure profit for me. So there's 5 units, range between 65 to 75 square metres.
Still decent size.
Yeah.
Good for like a hairdresser or a barber or.
Yeah, there's a salon gone in at the minute. There's 3 of them that that are going in there upstairs, plus a downstairs one. So I could rent them out for roughly the going rate. I've had a contact who I know who's came round saying what the going rent is in them units, roughly between £650, £700 a month. I'm renting them out for £550 a month. So it's cheaper, but it's all profit upstairs. But by me doing that, they're going to stay, they're going to tie in for a longer lease. So again, it's less for me to do. So the only thing I'll have to do, it's got its own, 3 of them have got their own toilets upstairs. So there's 2 other toilets for the communal areas and a kitchen. So the only thing I'll have to do is send a cleaner there once a week, clean the corridor downstairs and pay for the electric on that strip. That's it. They've all got their own electric supplies, so they're paying for that. So it's a lot more hands-off for me. So it's a good strategy. So that one will be like I'm spending roughly about £200,000 on that refurb. We're nearly done, probably 4 to 6 weeks at the minute of where we are, where we need to be. And that'll get valued at roughly about the 600,000 mark. So I'll be able to pull out 420 on there. So I've spent 250 plus a little bit more in fees. So there's profit to be pulled out of there. And then it works out, I'll make roughly about £33,000 a year net profit just for me. So that's a strategy rather than going down the buy-to-lets, the HMOs, which is a great strategy. For me, it's just hands off rather than get these tied into long leases. I don't have to do anything to it and it's guaranteed rent.
Mate, that is amazing. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Yeah, it's a good one. That's why I'm going for. I've got some other commercials down Redcar, and it's just maximising to get that rental income up as much as possible.
Yeah, and it seems to be the standard journey. It's the journey I've done as well. Sort of buy-to-let, HMOs, service accommodation, BRI. You learn about finance, blah blah blah, and then the natural progression is always into commercial.
Yeah.
Be that commercial to resi conversions.
Yeah.
Which I know you've done and I've done and now I'm the same as you. I'm fully focused on commercial property, just for the ease. It's just more hands off, like you said. And I think there's a myth that with commercial property you can't sort of rinse and repeat and pull your cash out each time. It seems to happen less often, but you've just proven with that deal. That not only have you pulled your cash out, you've pulled more than that out. Amazing cash flow as well. So there you go. The proof's in the pudding. So as regards tenants for the upper 5 units, you said you've got a salon. Have you filled those then?
I've filled 3 of them, so I've still got a couple spare, but I haven't advertised it anywhere.
Right.
So mine is just basically, a lot of my tenants come from like my social media, so I could be walking around, got the keys to a property, doing a little tour around it, then I get like so many messages, people wanting to take these on. So for that property there, the old Store 21, that's been empty since 2018. And people were saying to me, what are you buying that for? It's like, it's been empty for that long. how are you going to be able to rent that out if it already isn't being able to rent it out? But it's just the power of the social media. There's a lot of people that are wanting these, but splitting it up, lower them business rates, and make it a lot more affordable for people to go into these units.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's a lot of negativity around the high street at the moment.
Yeah.
But, and you know, from a certain perspective, some businesses like your clothes shops, people like that, your retailers, you know, that they are struggling because you can go online and buy what you want these days, can't you? But you're still never going to be able to get your hair cut online.
Nah,
or
absolutely.
do your aesthetics training online.
Yeah.
So there's certain elements, certain businesses are thriving, and you know, they need units.
Yeah.
And these businesses historically would have been off the high street, tucked away in a little. Now, because there's a lot more commercial stock available, they find themselves on the high streets, which is amazing for them, their businesses, and amazing for you as their landlord, because the demand's up there.
Yeah, 100%. There's loads of demand. Like, there's a lot of people who are. I've got a different unit, and it was only last week a guy who's wanting to move hair salons, and he's moving that into. He's agreed it. He's viewed it, had a look around it, loves it, and he's wanting to go in there. So there's a lot of people out there who are wanting these commercial. A lot of people think the high streets are dead. It's just I've spoken to previous where I'm more direct to the vendor to create these deals. So there's people out there, I've spoken to some, and they're not interested in selling them. Like, they could be from London, and they're like, we're waiting for it to go up in value. But there is people out there that will be willing to sell to them. Yeah. So it's just trying to build that high street, get it better again, get these where it's more just back in use, where they've been empty for years. Yeah.
Another thing that appeals, it's, you know, you're doing a relatively cheap refurb on the commercial building by the sounds of it. You know, relatively speaking to the size of the building. So there's another appeal. You know, your refurbs, you're creating a blank canvas for a business to come into, aren't you? You're not spending fortunes on finishes and you know, like you do in residential. So
it's a lot cheaper, isn't it?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. So is that? I think you've already answered the question, but is that where you're going to sort of focus all of your time on now, commercial?
It's definitely the one what I'm doing at the minute. So I've got a few in legals, but some of them I am doing, like the Store 21. I am getting it to a shell. I'm putting the electrics in, putting the flooring in, obviously wiring it, plasterboarding it, plastering it, and that's more or less that's all you need to do with it.
Basically first fix, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got a few like that, and it's just obviously then they're going to kit out to however they want it. So it's a lot cheaper. So back to the Store 21 with the residential, when I was looking at the residential, it was going to cost roughly about 280 grand just to do residential just upstairs. That's not including downstairs. Whereas like just doing it as commercial, it's cost just over 100,000. So it's like, it's a hell of a lot cheaper, and without the headache of all the tenants as well. Yeah. So yeah, the value would go up if it was residential, but I'm pulling money out of the deal. Like, it's not like I'm leaving money in the deal, and I'm over the moon with £33,000 a year off that one deal alone. Like, you don't need many of them, but some of these where you are just kitting it to a shell. There's one that I'm looking at the minute, which is going through legals. Greg's the bakery, they're interested in having that as a drive-through Greg's. So something like that. That was an old pub, just on its own, in like an area where there's like McDonald's and etc. So you've got loads of potential, and then they'll just want it as a shell because they're going to do their kit out on it. Of
course they will, yeah. They do a standard fit out that they do each and every time, rinse and repeat, don't they? So I love that with commercial property as well, that the appeal of getting like a blue chip tenant in there, like a Greg's or a Costa, whatever. You know, your commercial valuation goes through the roof, doesn't
absolutely.
It? Especially on the length of lease that they'll be willing to sign. You hear of 20, 25 year leases.
Yeah. That's the power of it, isn't it? It's just like how you don't need many of them at all. They're going to do everything on it.
Yeah. You touched on direct to vendor there. Is that how you find most of your deals?
Yeah, a lot of mine is direct to vendor. So again, what Stephen teaches, where everyone's on Rightmove, and it's like he teaches basically go and create these deals, go and find them. Not where everyone's fighting over Rightmove, things are going for more than the asking price. So for me, I'll basically just find these derelict properties. So I do it in a couple of ways. So I've got loads of flyers built up, have them in the van or the car, and any derelict properties, I'll just stop and just post one through. Right. Or especially more the commercial side of it, I'll just literally go on land registry, pay them my £3, get their details, write them a letter, and you just don't know what that will come to. Might send 5 letters out, might get a reply in 1 or 2. I never get where they all reply. But just for an example, I bought an old working men's club last year, in August last year. So this is, again, right in Redcar High Street, 1,100 square metre building. And it's just having that local knowledge as well on there. So there's this one, it shut down, and they were saying it was due to dodgy electrics. It wasn't, it was because they didn't pay the electric bill. So I knew this. So I wrote to the actual owner. So he was just like renting out to a tenant. So let's close down. I wrote him a letter, just introduced myself, said like who I am, what I do, give him links to my stuff so he knows I'm serious with it all. And I just said, if you're ever interested in selling it, like, basically, can we have a chat about it? And he called me back about 3 weeks later, and he said he was interested. That building was worth easily 250 grand as it was. So I said to him, like, how much are you wanting for it? And he was like 280,000. So straight away I just put a daft offer in. I said, I can't go nowhere near that. I can go to 160. And he was like, no, not a chance. It's like way too low. But it's just like, for me, what's the worst that can happen? They can only say no. You can always increase it rather than going in too high and wishing that you went lower. Exactly. So then he came back. I went back to him about a week later. So this is off market. So no one else is going in for it. So that's the power that I had, rather than if it was on Rightmove, he would have got that 250,000 for it. Easily, yeah. But he was wanting 280. So I just went back to him and said, have you had any change of heart? And he said, I'll basically go to 260. So I said, I could go to 175. And we eventually agreed at 195. And it was just by doing that, and rather than rushing in, again, back to like what Stephen teaches, the awareness, how to speak to people, to vendors, to estate agents, having that, knowing what kind of questions to ask. It's unbelievable. So I was like able to pull that out. That's a working men's club. So rather than renting that full building, if I rented that full building out, like the Store 21, I would have got roughly about £25,000 a year for it. But I'm splitting it up, making a sports bar, restaurant in one of it. Nice. So, and then in the back of it, separate entrance, that'll be a martial arts room. Nice. Upstairs is a function room. Then upstairs is going to be contractor accommodation. So rather than getting you £25,000 a year, this is able to get me 63,000 a year. So it's just maximising that, splitting it up into different units. It massively helps. Obviously, that's going to help the valuation at the back end. So we're in the middle of that refurb at the minute. So it's just increasing it, because a working men's club, it's never, they're not there anymore. No. So it's just
unfortunately, because it was cheap beer.
Yeah. it's just creating it where you're doing these smaller spaces, but then you're able to get like great money for them still.
So you've taken you're essentially, what you're doing is you're taking a commercial buy-to-let and turning it into a commercial HMO, aren't you? That's what you're doing. Yeah. You're splitting the space up into multiple units, multiple tenants. Yeah. The principle's exactly the same.
100%.
But the commercial company's coming in rather than tenants.
Yeah. It's huge. It's just, like I say, it increases that valuation at the back end. You're getting more money out of it, and it's a no-brainer. For me, that's how I'm able to pull all my money back out of it. It's just like splitting it up. And it's working. It's like working massively. So it's just, for me, it's auctions or direct to vendor. I think that is the strategy to go down for me personally. So
you're using auctions for some of your commercial stuff as well, are you?
Yeah. So there's some auctions. So there's one that I bought. It was last year. So for me, auctions, if you asked me 18 months ago, 2 years ago, I would have said auctions was the worst place to be. Everyone was bidding 10, 20, 30 grand more than the asking price. Now, I feel people are worried with interest rates, not being able to complete on time, getting tenants in there. So a lot of, as unfortunate as it is with what's happening in the world, with the cost of living, people are getting things repossessed, and it is an awful situation, but somebody has to buy these. Yeah. So banks, they're not bothered about getting as much money out as possible. They just want what they're owed on there, what they've repossessed it for. Obviously, if they can make a bit of profit on it, they will. So there was this one that I bought last year. It was a repossession. It was worth 230 grand all day long. It was on there for 130. Right. So I managed to buy it for 135. So it's like no one was bidding for it.
In the auction or pre-auction?
In the auction. So it was just, people are worried about them having the tenants. This one had tenants already in. So it's a bar/restaurant downstairs, and then it's 6 offices upstairs. Wow. So it already had tenants in there. Didn't need no refurb on there. So straight away I've got like 95 grand worth of equity straight away on day one without having to do anything. paid a £6,000 auction fee, a little bit high, but are you bothered if you're getting that much in equity? You're making that much profit from it. So it was instantly cash flowing. So it's like, for me, auctions are a great place. A lot of people aren't buying, or if they're buying, they're getting them for the bare minimum. Yeah. So it's just speaking to them, speaking to the auction house, looking at ones that haven't sold, and especially down the commercial side of it. There's so much opportunity out there at the minute.
Yeah. So the workies and the other one with the existing tenants, are they red car as well?
Yeah. So a lot of my commercials are red car. Yeah. Again, I want to make a difference in red car. I've got properties in Middlesbrough, Newcastle, Durham, but for me, I'm passionate about improving the area, of trying to restore the high street, trying to revive it. And there's people who Stephen's trained who are doing this. So for me, I think he's the biggest part of why it's improving, 100%. Because his people who he's taught, who his mentees, they're going out there and they're helping this area. They're helping. Yeah. People are going down the commercial route of it, but it's not just the commercial, it's the residential as well. It's the semi-commercials. So it's, for me, I love the semi-commercials where it's like you've got the shop downstairs, you've got the flat up above, you're getting 2 lots of rental income, but you're getting like the residential rates on it. So
it's diversity as well. You're spreading your risk, aren't you?
100%.
You've got residential above and commercial down below. Things change, markets change, economic pressures change. But if you've got a diverse portfolio, a diverse setup, within one building, you're spreading that risk.
Yeah.
You might be without your commercial tenant 2 or 3 months, you might have a void, but your residential tenants are paying for it, and vice versa.
100%.
So that's amazing. So the workies that you're converting, you're not going to operate these businesses, are you?
No.
So what kind of refurbishment? How far are you going with the refurb? When you said there's a sports bar going in there, how far are you going to make that a sports bar?
Yeah. So we're not doing, we're just doing kind of the basics, get it to a shell. So for that, the workies, it's a really iconic building in Redcar. Like, everyone knows that building in Redcar. It's right on the high street. So I didn't want to go in these and basically do it a full back to brick refurb on there. So I'm trying to keep as many of the original features in as possible.
Right.
So like the bar, keeping that in, because it's a lot more of the older generations. They'll come in and they want to be able to recognise it, but it's going to have that modern feel to it as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how protective the older generation are over the bars.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it a few times when people have converted pubs.
Yeah.
Like, well, the bar's staying though, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I put a video on of that, and I was a little bit nervous of putting it on, thinking I'm just going to get slated on Facebook for this. I had about 45,000 views on it, and I got really good feedback on it. Like, people were really keen with it. The electrics, they haven't probably been done since the 60s. It was the electrics, it was the worst condition I've ever seen electrics in any building. So it
was shut down for dodgy electrics.
Yeah. There was cables where they're just tied together. So we've stripped out all the electrics. We're putting a new electric system in there. We're going to board it, obviously plaster it, just freshening it up, paint it, put new flooring down. And then it's up to them to do what they want to do. So we've put in the sports bar, put nice bi-4 windows in there, and they're just going to finish it off how they want. Tellies on the walls, different bits if they want any other bits building. We're just literally getting it to a shell, modernising it where it's nice. But then the martial arts room out the back. Again, we've just literally levelled the floor, reboarded it, replastered it, painted it, and that's more or less it. We're not. Obviously a new electric system in there as well, but we're not going crazy with it. Some of these refurbs where you see pubs where it's costing like £500,000 to do it, we're not nowhere near spending that. So it's just getting it to a certain standard. But again, we haven't advertised it. The martial arts room is rented out, the sports bar's rented out, the restaurant with that. It's just a function room. Someone is really interested in that, but they haven't agreed to that yet. But it's these where we're not having to advertise it. So the demand, people are wanting to come. So there's a lady from York. She looked on my social media and she was like, I'm really like that. She's got properties in York, pubs in York, and she's like, can I come and have a look of it? Straight away, they're wanting to take it on. They know how I am as a person. They can see my standards of works from like previous projects, and they know they're going to get a good property out of it.
Yeah. It's all sounds so positive, and it's the exact opposite of what you hear in the media.
Yeah.
Not just about certain areas like Teesside, but the UK in general. So much negativity out there, and I know that sells. It sells newspapers, doesn't it? But when you speak to people like yourselves, you just see, you're doing a multitude of different projects, but the tenants are there. They're there and waiting. A sports bar in the middle of Redcar, you'd think, you might struggle to get an operator for that if you believe what you saw in the news on people. But you've got one already. You've got a guy to do it. So amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. So what's your main? How are you financing these deals? What's your main source of finance? Are you using angel investment?
Yeah, so a lot of mine is from the private investors. So it is, I'll use bridging, but obviously, it's like your fees on that, your bridging fees, your exit fees, setup fees. So for me, my strategy is buy them in cash, do them up, get them onto a mortgage. But there's so much, obviously, bridging still good if you know what you're doing with it. So it is an option, but for me, it's just so much easier and cheaper using private investment. So, but a lot of that just comes from a social media. So it's more, they can see the consistency of it. So the last 5 years, they can have a look. So for me, that is probably the biggest thing that's helped me to get private investment is my social media.
Yeah.
I was never a big social media person beforehand, but it was more, I even like projects, I'd walk around with the camera and I'd say like, I could feel myself going red, stuttering. I'd say like, good morning, guys. And I'm like stopping the camera. I'm like, I've said good morning wrong. Yeah. So then I'll do it again.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's then you're taking 20, 30 takes. Now I've just literally take one take, post it. But it's massively, massively helped me. But people can see the consistency of my work. They can see the standards of the work. And then they can see that I've backed it up. So they can see like, I've basically looked for investment. I've done this project with it. They can see I put updates on there for the renovation side of it, and they can see exactly what that money is used for. Yeah. And then they can see that I've pulled that money out because it's done, completed, pull the money out, go into another project, and just keep repeating it. But I find that it gives the investor that confidence to invest in you because they can see exactly like it. I see so many people on there that they don't post or anything, and then they're looking for investment, and people are like, who's he? Like they haven't got a clue, or her, they haven't got a clue who they are. So it's just building them social medias up, let people know who you are, what you're doing, what you're about. Yeah. And it massively comes back to you. But again, from like in the PIA with Stephen's group, so it's like people in there, they can see I go to the events, I help out, and they know what I'm like as a person. So people do invest in people. Yeah. But then it's more just that they can see everything. Well, you're not hiding anything. They can see exactly where that money's going.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and from your social media, I think Facebook's your main sort of platform that you use, isn't it?
Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Yeah, so you can see from your videos on Facebook especially that, people will watch those videos and they immediately feel like they know you a little bit. You walk around, you got the credibility. It's your online CV, isn't it? Social media, I always say this. I don't really like social media, but it's a necessity now. Yeah. And it is difficult at first when you're in front of camera. I was the same as you. Just do 100 takes, try and get it right. Now I've realised that the more mistakes you make, the more genuine you come across, and people appreciate that, I think.
100%.
So if the type of projects you're doing, nobody can argue that you're doing things the right way. They can see the standard of your work is amazing. Yeah. And, someone sat in London or Singapore or wherever watching that, there's a degree of comfort immediately from seeing those videos and think, this guy's genuine. I feel quite happy. Yeah. He's obviously using other people's money already. Yeah. So he's well versed in that. I know he's going to look after me.
Yeah, 100%. You just don't know what's around the corner, what it could lead to as well. So there's a guy. So I run a mastermind group. So Stephen's asked me to run a mastermind group on behalf of like his group. So I have like 20 people. There was a guy last year and he said he doesn't need investment. He doesn't need to find it. He's basically got £1 million sat there. He doesn't need it. And I said to him, you just don't know what's around the corner though. That once in a lifetime deal could come to you tomorrow. And if you haven't set all this up in the background, people say like, I'll set my social media up when I'm looking for investors. I think set it up now if people are just starting out, because just you post on there of, I don't know, going on viewings, posting your logo, posting motivational stuff, sharing other people's property stuff. Let people know you are now, rather than that deal comes around the corner. Then all of a sudden you're looking for investment. No one will know who you are. And have it all set up now, and then it'll just, people will see what you're posting, and then you're just doing it more and more. Then you get that property, do it up, do the refurb on it, and people can just see and set it up now, because you just don't know when you'll need the investment for.
Exactly, and the longer you do it, if people are going on somebody's social media and they scroll back and you can see they've been doing it 3 or 4 years, there's a lot of credibility to be had there, isn't there? So
100%.
With any of your deals, are Are you leaving money in deals generally? Or on average, are you pulling most of your money out?
At the minute, luckily, I'm able to pull it all out on the majority of them.
People get obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And especially on the size of deals, especially the commercial stuff that you're doing, you know, who cares if you're leaving 200 grand in a deal?
Yeah.
If it's cash flowing 80 grand a year,
Yeah.
like who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
People get obsessed, don't they?
Yeah, I think the main reason why I'm doing it is because I'm going off market deals or getting them cheap enough on auction. Whereas if I'm on Rightmove, yeah, you can leave something. But like you say, if you're buying a HMO and you're leaving, say, 20 grand in, but you're making X amount a month on it, then it's not the end of the world. No. But for me, my strategy is just to literally try and pull it out as quickly as possible, pay the investors back, go again. Yeah. So that's my strategy with it. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have been able to pull these out. But again, that comes down to the strategy that I'm on, where I'm maximising the rental income. So that's increasing the value. So I'm able to pull it out. HMOs, where I'm going rather than just your typical bricks and mortar valuations, I'm getting the hybrid valuations where it's increasing the value a lot more.
Yeah.
So just, again, that's back to your power team, who to speak to, brokers-wise, knowing what they do. I've spoken to a broker in the past and they didn't know what the hybrid was. And that it's like knowing what your different strategies are on there, just to maximise, just to speed things up as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So touch on that, because I know, but listeners may not know. So explain the hybrid model from the finance point of view.
Yeah. So the hybrid is, for me, the best way to describe it is, so for me, it works on a 5 or a 6 bed. So it can get, a HMO can get valued on a 7 bed or more commercial, or 6 or under is like your bricks and mortar valuation. But there's some lenders that have came out there and goes, you know what, this rental income, it's on the 5 or 6 bed. It's not really fair that they're getting the bricks and mortar valuation. So they kind of do it off both. They're doing it off the bricks and mortar, but also off the rental income. So it massively increases the valuation at the back end, I feel. So for an example, I've got 2 properties that I've got this with a hybrid both in Middlesbrough. So one of them's probably the roughest road in Middlesbrough. Nice. That's a 5-bedroom HMO. So that got valued at, it should have got valued on a bricks and mortar, 5-bed HMO, probably you're looking at 120 grand. But because I put it onto a hybrid mortgage, no difference, rates same, just a different product, got valued at 175,000. So just having that product, knowing what to do, you're able to pull a lot more money out of the deal. Yeah. So you're not having to fight, get it below market value. So I spoken to a valuer on this and I said, like, how did you value it? And he said, well, with the standards that you're doing, and at this minute in time, Middlesbrough's roughly about £35,000 a room. Yeah. So he said, so what I've done is done that 35,000 times it by the 5 gives me the 175,000 valuation. So I said to him, so I'm looking at one, it's literally about half a mile away from here. I can get 6 beds in. Would it be the same? He said, yeah. He said, it's just 35,000. As long as you do it to the same standards, 35,000 times by the 6, you'd get the 210,000.
Amazing.
So with me being able to do that, so it was on for, that property was on for 120,000. So I managed to get for 118. So to only 2 grand cheaper. But everyone's putting daft offers in 80 grand, 90 grand to pull the money out, even less. But because I knew what I could do with it at the back end, so I paid that 118, done the refurb on it. I think I was all in at 164, I think it was. I was able to pull 157,500 back out the deal. So it's, yeah, I've got a few grand left in there, but it's making 2.5 grand a month.
To make that back.
So, yeah, so it's like, yeah, just knowing that product, that strategy, it's a game changer for me. Yeah. Again, it can only be used on a 5 or a 6 bed, but it's massive where there's not a lot of people that are doing it. So it's like, you can clean up with it. Yeah. There's so much opportunity out there. Obviously, different areas would be different. So, for example, a Redcar, you're probably looking at, say, 28,000, 30 grand per room. Somewhere like your Leeds, Newcastle, Manchester, obviously that's going to be a lot higher. Yeah. So it's just knowing the areas and knowing what that it's roughly the going per room in per area.
Yeah, and knowledge is power, and if you've got that knowledge, you've got so much confidence making offers on properties because you've got that knowledge at the back end that other people haven't necessarily got.
Yeah,
it's a game changer, isn't it?
100%. And again, it's like I've been doing this only 5 years now, just over 5 years. I wouldn't have dreamt of knowing these kind of stuff. And again, that comes down to Stephen Green's training. It's like I was sat there and I didn't know what equity meant. And now it's just like doing these strategies I've got that confidence now to do it. Whereas like before, especially my very first deal, I was like doubting myself. Is it a good deal? I was trying in my head to make it into a bad deal. It was just taking that action, and then you get your second one, you get your third one, but you're getting that experience as well. But it's continuing working on yourself as well with that self-development. So I've like always around Stephen as much as I possibly can, because you're always learning new bits, and it massively gets you to where you want to be, whatever your goal is, so much quicker.
Yeah, you never stop learning, do you? Well, you should never stop learning anyway. But that's amazing, mate. It's if you can keep going at the rate you're going, then who knows where you'll end up. So I want to talk about tradesmen and dealing with tradesmen. You're doing diverse projects. Are you using the same tradesmen for, regardless of it being commercial or whether it being a residential HMO?
So I've got two trades teams really. So one who works for me, they're just literally just on my projects. I've got a really good group of lads from joiners, plumbers, electricians, just work for me directly. This came because we're doing multiple projects.
Are they employed or on a subcontract?
Yeah, so they're employed with me. So they're doing more my buy-to-lets, the semi-commercial with the shop and the flat, and they're doing the smaller commercials, like the 200 square metre buildings. So they're doing them kind of ones. But then I've got another company, JW Joinery. They're doing the bigger ones, like the church conversion, the Store 21, the workies, something where it's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So they're doing them. All it's just purely because if I took my lads from my projects, then onto the bigger ones, and the smaller ones aren't getting done. Yeah. So it's keeping enough work for them. The other lads, like the JW Joinery, they're doing fantastic work for me. They've done a really good, like the standards of the church renovation that they've done. It's outstanding. They've done the Store 21, which is 46 weeks away from being done. That's looking amazing how it is. So yeah, it's just getting that with that, but it wasn't that, like back at the start, it was more, it's like you might have a good joiner, you might have a good plumber, but you haven't got a good tiler. So it's just finding that balance, finding that the ones, but it's also the speed of it as well. So it's like a plasterer, it's having a good plasterer that can work at a good rate, obviously, because then they can slow other trades down. Same with it all. So it's just finding that team, but there's been so many learns and mistakes that I've had like throughout the trades. That's probably been, I'd say it's probably been my biggest headache in property, but it's just building it. But it's also, the good thing is it's networking. So it's like, rather than just looking for random builders, it's speaking to people who've used a good tiler, a good painter. So it's just building them relationships, building that network up, and it massively helps. Yeah,
you have to kiss a few frogs, don't you? And it's unfortunately we don't get handed a CV from a tradesman to say I've done this and this. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You have to try, unfortunately, don't you? And all we've got is other people's recommendations. Yeah. But when you do find the trades that work to your standard, work to your speed, you've got to keep all of them.
Yeah, 100%. It's I've had at the early years, I got someone to do an extension, and they built the extension, had the roof about a quarter on, and then they went and got a job down London. So I'm like, what the hell? No, like, what do we do now? And then it's like trying to find someone short notice who can basically do it. But yeah, it's learning massively, like who you can get, who. My biggest advice is just speak to someone who's used someone, get that recommendation rather than just trying to find random people.
Yeah, for sure. So we've touched on this already, but where do you see the biggest opportunity in the UK right now? Is it in the commercial space, do you think, or in the high interest rate environment? Are there other methods you think are maybe more attractive?
I think the HMO route is a good one, especially that hybrid.
I think it always will be
product. Yeah, I think that is a really good one. I'm doing one HMO at the minute, but I'm trying to come away from that. I'm more the commercial side of it, just purely because, again, increasing that, not just buying one commercial, it's splitting it up into multiple different sections, increasing that valuation on there, increasing the rental income. So it's like, for me, it's more hands-off. That's how I want to go, a lot more hands-off now, rather than dealing with tenants. I want to be just getting a strong lease in place. Here's your lease, 5-10-year lease, whatever. You're taking care of the maintenance, repairs. Obviously, anything structural, I will. But it's stuff like that. And then obviously they're having that as a commercial. They're going to keep it nice and clean all the time because they've got customers coming in. So you know it's always going to be kept in a decent state. So it's just, for me, that is the route I'm going down. I think auctions is a huge one, which we've touched on, for opportunities out there. You can get some absolute bargains out there. So yeah, I think them two are my main strategies at the minute.
Yeah. So when you're development, are you project managing them? What's a day in the life of Allan look like right now? Are you find, obviously out there finding your deals?
Yeah.
I think as we go along, and it sounds exactly the same with your journey, you've sort of had no money a bit and quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So you've done everything. You've been on site, you've found the deals, you've project managed the refurbs, and as you've built up, now you're looking at more hands-off strategies like commercial, because now you're in a better financial situation. You can start to buy your time back a little bit. It just goes full circle, doesn't it? Well, hopefully it does. Then all of a sudden you'll have loads of money and loads of time. That's going to be the aim. What does a day in the life look like for you at this stage?
Yeah. Before, when I first started, I was on the projects all the time, painting, stripping wallpaper, doing all that kind of stuff. I was there every day, 8 till 5, and then I was getting home. Then I was catching up on my admin stuff. And then the more projects I was doing, it was getting more busy. So now I've took a massive step back. I've got a good team now around me, but I've learned so much from being on sites. And I enjoyed it, but it was just more now my time is a lot more. Stephen teaches about the 80-20, where it's like, what are you getting your best results at for what doing? For me, it is finding the deals, finding the finance from private investors. That is probably the best thing that I'm doing. So now so that's what I concentrate on, finding the next deal, finding that investment. I've got people who work for me from doing admin, doing like, it could be like your gas certificates, that kind of stuff, knowing all that kind of stuff, making the phone calls to the council, the utility companies. So I've got someone who does that now. I've got people who are working on the sites, project managing it. So I'll probably, for me, a day-to-day now, for me, it is I go to the gym early, 7:30 in the morning. Then after them, because a lot of my projects are in Redcar now, then I'll just go and visit maybe one or two of them, go home, do my admin stuff. I've got someone doing admin, but it's stuff that I have to do still. Do that, and then it's just finding them deals, speaking to people, so just putting yourself out there. So that's the main thing that I'm doing at the minute. But then I used to be working till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Now I want to be finished for like 4, 5 o'clock. So obviously when my kids are coming in from school, being able to do basically what I want to do, that is my main thing, just to get me to that goal where I need to be.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like you've got a great balance already, and I'm sure that you'll free up more and more time as you go along. You've talked about helping Steve Green with his coaching and stuff like that. Is that something you look at in the future, maybe helping other people?
Inside of Stephen's thing, yeah, absolutely. Like, I go to his events like so much. I will never set it up on my own. I see so many people out there that are setting up their own property companies, training academies, and some of these people, they haven't got deals, they haven't got properties. A lot of people who are doing it came from Stephen's training. So for me, I'll always be there helping Stephen, coaching at the back, helping people. And I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people. I've always done it, even before when I first started Stephen's training. I was there helping out.
Get a lot of value out of it, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And it's selfishly as well. You're learning all the time.
Sure.
So it's like Stephen could be on stage and he's always developing it all the time. So I'm like listening to it again, and the stuff sinking in, and it's all the time. Me and Stephen have got a great relationship. I've run the mastermind. I used to be in his masterminds. Yeah. We've been to Tenerife this year, goal setting. So it's like, for me, I've got a lot of loyalty there towards Stephen. So I would never ever set that up. It's not my vision. It's not what I want to do, but I'll help anyone as I possibly can.
So you mentioned Tenerife there. I noticed you went on tell me about this business meeting in BENIDORM. I've never seen anyone have a business meeting in BENIDORM.
So that was a bit of a joke, that one. So last year, so I bought a property in BENIDORM last year.
Right.
So the first one was to basically go and do view inside it as a bit of a joke, like business meeting. Business trip to BENIDORM. Yeah. And it just rolled from there. I bought one. I went there, viewed it, last April it was, and it wasn't what I wanted. I got home, and obviously we were there for a few drinks as well, made the most of it. So then we got home, and the guy, I've got an agent over there who was like trying to find me these deals, a deal sourcer, but he's got his own management company. And I just got home. Within 2 days later, he sent me this picture. He was like, "Oh, do you want to come and do you want to buy this one?" Like, and I looked at it and it was fantastic. I literally been home for 2 days.
Is this just for your own use, or?
No, so I rented it out.
Right.
So he was like, I've always wanted one in the sun. Like I said at the start, it's for me, holidays is a big thing. Always been in the sun, being able to do what you can. It's been huge. So I've always wanted one in the sun. So he asked me if I wanted this one. I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead with that one. So he was like, "What's your NIE number?" So I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's like your national insurance number, but abroad." I said, "Oh, I haven't got one. Can you send me the link over?" He said, "Oh, no, you can only do it in person at a police station in Spain." Bear in mind, I've already just been home for 2 days.
Oh, what a shame. You have to go.
He was like, "I know." So he was like, "Right, you've got to come back." So I went back 2 days to the date when I landed. So and it was business trip part 2. And then I had to go back about a month later to complete on it. So this one was just to basically get that NIE number to set my bank account up. Then I had to go back the 3rd time to sign it, complete on it, got the keys. Then I had to go back the 4th time to do a little renovation on it. And yeah, then we went back recently just to go and check it out.
So it is a genuine business trip, you know, if you're investing in property over there.
It's a good property. It's a great location, fantastic location. For me, I don't think there's a better location in Benidorm than where my apartment is. Right. It's right opposite the likes of Silver Dollar, Piccadilly, Mariano's. It's about a 30-second walk to where they film Benidorm in the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about a 2-minute walk to the main strip, so it's a fantastic. But that's going to be great for like making money on it. It's a great location. I'm charging £120 per night. You can sleep 3 people, so £40 a night each. It's nothing.
On a fully serviced basis, is that?
Yeah. So it's got its own kitchen. Obviously that's with the bills and all that included. So I've done it roughly off a guide of 20 nights a month, so it'll make 2,400. My bills, including mortgages, roughly about £600.
Amazing.
There's no gas there, it's only electric. Electric's cheap over there. That's including management fees, cleaning, it's cheap over there. So it's a great one. So I'm roughly going to be making, obviously in the summer, July, August, I might put that 120 up a little bit to 140. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. Them 20 nights might be go up and down, but that's the average what I've done over the year. So it's a great property. I'll rent that out to other people, but then if it's empty, I can easily just go there, just pay for flights, and spending money, and we've got that. So it's something.
That's something you do more of then, do you think?
Go where?
Buy further properties abroad, or are you just going to do as a one-off type of thing?
I would do. I just want to see how this goes. We bought it by the time I completed last year on it. It was round about the end of July. So I just need a good full season in there, see what all the figures are, make sure which I'm very confident it will. So I just want to see what the figures are on it, what the profit is on there, and then I'm 100% open to getting another one.
Yeah. How was because I've always looked at buying property in Spain. How was the conveyancing process, especially post-Brexit?
Yeah, so much easier.
Was it really?
I found honestly, from when I went to set my bank account up and the NIE number and agreed it, they could have completed within about 2-3 weeks. But I couldn't get back over there for about 6 weeks, so they delayed it. Right. It was so
frustrating, the conveyancing process in the UK, and it's just so outdated. It's criminal.
Yeah, it was so, honestly, I've never seen anything like it. I was like, I didn't expect it to be this easy. Yeah. Like I said, I've got a good. He's from England, but he lives in Benidorm, so a great agent over there who manages it, and he guided me through it all, because obviously that was my first one abroad, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
I bought property in Australia, and it is the same.
Yeah.
It took 4 weeks, I think.
Really?
Yeah. It's just a different world, and in the UK, you speak to solicitors, and they talk about conveyancing process as if it's like black magic, and there's so much more to it than you think. But we know what they're doing. It just sits on. Paperwork, it just sits on desks for weeks, doesn't it?
So slow at the minute in England, and
it's incredible.
So slow.
It's incredible. I'm chasing one at the moment, and even still blame COVID.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and this is like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just criminal. Honestly, it frustrates me so much.
Yeah.
So we've touched on the holidays. You're very much into holidays and your family life, which is great. What is, with all this property stuff going on, what's the end goal for you?
End goal, it's just like everyone. I think it's just that happiness. Like for me, I've absolutely found my passion. I love property so much. You always that goal. What is that goal, that target? So mine is to make £15,000 a month net profit. That's my goal. I think I'll hit that probably about August time this year. So I would have hit my dream pot, hit exactly where I need to be.
You started in 2019?
Yeah, 5 years ago. So it's from unemployed to like £15,000 a month net profit. So that's like my share. I've got a few like joint ventures. Some are on my own. So that works out as that'll be my share. So in one of my goals for this year, I want to semi-retire by Christmas Eve. Why I say that is I still love property. So there's people that I find that they love property, or they're literally just there for the money, and that's the vehicle. The property is the vehicle to get them to that money, which is not a bad thing. But for me, it's both. I want the cash flow from it, but I love the property. So I'm always going to be doing it. So I'm just going to slow down. So Christmas Eve, my plan's semi-retire. So that is, I'll still build a portfolio up, as in with some of my joint ventures that I've still got, some on my own, but also build another company up for, I'll build a portfolio on that. And then when my daughters are old enough, I'll put them as a director. I'll resign from it. So they've got their portfolio. They'll have their own. I'll still have my income. Just because I've got that passion for it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I never want to retire.
Yeah.
Never ever want to retire fully. I want to take a lot more time out than I currently do.
Yeah.
So I'm very busy, but I never want to retire. I love doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love talking about. I'm an absolute property sado.
Yeah.
Love just this is why I started the podcast. 'Cause I just love talking about property as well as doing property. It's my passion, the same as you. So yeah, that's brilliant, mate. And you know, to achieve what you have in what, less than 5 years, it's just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So that said, great success. But if you could start all over again, would you do anything different?
Good question. To be fair, I probably wouldn't. I've enjoyed it. I've made a lot of mistakes in there with it, especially in the earlier days. But I've learned so much from them, and I would never change that. Luckily, they haven't been very costly, as in money-wise. But I've learned from it, and I feel like if I didn't make them mistakes, maybe I wouldn't be where I am now. So yeah, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just do exactly what I'd done. What I'd probably do is just start earlier. That would probably be my biggest thing, because I was always one of them where I was never into personal development. I've never really heard of mindset, personal development. Now you hear about it a lot more, and it was like going to a mentor, because I went back to when I was thinking of doing the training. I was thinking, I'm not paying that. Like I can, but if I,
But you're glad you did.
Yeah, but if I'd done it earlier, like I would have been a year ahead. But no, I think everything happens for a reason. So it's like I'll do everything exactly the same.
Yeah, brilliant. And you know, I'm sure that, I don't know what the cost of the education was, but I'm sure you've made that back, and
100%.
1,000 times.
100%. And it's like I said, it was £1,600 to do the training, and I was thinking exactly what I said. There's not a chance I'm perfect. I can go to Mallorca. But then spending that £1,600, now I'm able to, like last year I went on 9 holidays, and these are like places I'd never dreamed of going. Jamaica, Lapland, or the kids making their memories. And I'm like, back then in that mindset, I can go to Mallorca every year, once a year. Yeah. Now I'm able to go to these places, and that's all purely because of property.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's not just you're not. It sounds like you're not a flashy guy. It's the freedom that property creates, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the more commercial stuff and more hands-off stuff you do, you know, your incomes are ever increasing, but your time's ever increasing as well, which is amazing. So as we sat today, if you met a brand new investor today, sat down, he said, right, Alan, what's your best bit of advice you can give me? What would you say?
I'd say 100% take action, back yourself, take action. If you're thinking, having them doubts not to do it, do it. Get around someone who's already done it, who's already been there, and they can back it up. But also I'd say build your social media up, put yourself out there. Like me, I had that fear, didn't want to do the social media, but put yourself out there, let everyone know you're a property developer, what you're wanting to do, because at the end of the day, it's only helping you. it's getting you to that lifestyle that you want, that goal, that dream, what you want. So it's like, don't care what people think. Just put yourself out there, and you just don't know what it'll lead to.
Yeah, totally agree. Social media, I know we've touched on it already, but it is key. And, you know, we buy Nike trainers or we buy furniture from whichever shop because we know that brand and we know the quality of it, and we're comfortable buying, we're comfortable giving our money away to that company because of the brand they've built up. So you've got to do the same with yourself, haven't you? You've got to build your personal brand up.
100%.
And the only place you can do that,
or
the only place that is as far-reaching as it needs to be is social media. So
100%. And
I think the younger generation are a bit more confident than we are, than we were, in front of the camera, because they've grown up with it.
Yeah.
You know, you and I didn't grow up with it necessarily as kids. So I think that's brilliant. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to interview you. There's so much value in there. You know, for people who are listening to this, so much value. So I really, really thank you for that. I'm very grateful. And I'm sure we'll stay in touch. And next time we have you on, you'll be via video link from some foreign country, no doubt. But thank you, mate.
No, thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime.
Thank you. Nice one.
If you are watching or listening to this online, please do like, follow, subscribe. It really does help the algorithm. Until next time, take care.